Hello, welcome to my channel, and welcome back if you've been watching my videos. Welcome to another exciting Byrds review with me and Bryers. We're gonna be going through their fifth album, the Notorious Byrd Brothers, by you guess it, the Byrds. And anything you like to mention before we begin this video?
Yeah, just a couple things. So obviously, what's kind of notable about this particular album is that during the recording of this album, of course, we lost two members. We lost, of course, Michael Clark, the drummer, and we also lost David Crosby. So yeah, so now it's just mainly left to like McGuinn, Hillman, and yeah, and pretty sure I think that was it. So yeah, and another thing about the recording of this album is that Gene Clark actually rejoined briefly. I think from what I can recall, he was only in the band for 3 weeks, and then he left again. But he was able to contribute just on a couple tracks. We'll probably talk about them when we get to them. But yeah, to really compensate for the loss of the members, they had to use a lot of session musicians here. Um, but but yeah, I think that was probably a smart move because yeah, at least for me, I don't really hear it doesn't really hear like a band in disarray. We'll go more in depth, but I will argue that this could possibly be their most cohesive album, at least at this point. But that's just me. But we'll talk about the tracks as we go
Yep.
along.
Well, before we begin, I'm gonna read some of the comments by Jason. Hey, you guys look familiar.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yep. Uh, we covered a lot of '60s albums today. Heck yeah, we did. If you want to check out 50 Essentials albums by Jason channel, me, Breyer, of course, Jason, the old millennial, on his own channel, and Garrett from SoundLab Studios, we cover not not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40, but 50 essential albums of the '60s. And sadly, this album wasn't involved in it. I really wanted this to be in the list. I really did, but man, it just barely just scraped the honorable mentions.
Mm,
But that just proves how great the '60s was, though.
yeah.
But without further ado, let's get into this amazing track listing. Artificial Energy.
Okay, so like I've said before in the previous episodes, so far again, and this continues on the tradition. They've always started their albums really good. So yeah, this was written by McGuinn, Hillman, and Michael Clark. He actually got a writing credit before he left. But yeah, right off the bat, you're hit with a lot of brass instruments, which I've always I mean I'm a huge sucker for those stuff. So I was really enjoyed hearing that in this track. So this one's mainly about drugs, which is ironic because they got a lot of flack for 8 Miles High, even though they claim it's not a drug song. So when they actually did a drug song, nobody cared. So it's kind of a little irony there. Uh, but I have read that McGuinn was actually kind of critical, mainly due to how the vocals sound. I think it sounded better than what they did originally, but I think somebody messed up. But personally, I don't have an issue with the vocals. They sound okay to me. In terms of the lyrics, this is quite interesting. So for one thing, it references "Ticket to Ride" by the Beatles, which is kind of like a nice little nod to. But it's about this guy who's really struggling with his addiction, but it starts off like you normally would, but at the very end it gets super dark. It's because
Yeah,
at the very end, during this guy's like drug fueled hallucination or whatever, he kills a gay guy, which is like, whoa, that went. I wasn't expecting that. And that
yeah,
was and that's the last line of the song. So, of course, they refer to the individual as a queen, which is kind of how they referred to gay people at that point. So yeah, it's quite a way to start the album. But overall, I still think it's a pretty good opening track.
oh yeah, and one thing I don't know if it's on the CD copy. I don't know if it's just streaming services, but all the songs kind of flow into each other,
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
and I really like that, and I just love this. It's it get like I thought so you could I thought Mr. Tambourine Man and so you could be so you want to be a rock and roll star were amazing openers, but man, Artificial Energy just kicks you right in the face. It's amazing, and I don't know why, but I kind of like the vocals.
Yeah, they're
It's very
good.
different,
I like
and
them.
when I first heard it, I'm like, this is different, and the lyrics too. When I mean, it's the same band. Well, they didn't write it, but it's the same band that sung a song about a girl that died in the Hiroshima bombing. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's not too like shocking to hear a song about this, but it still is crazy though. But
yeah,
great song, and that goes right into the Carole King song, which ultimately got Crosby mad enough to make him want to leave the Byrds, and that is
yep,
going back. What do
yeah,
you think?
exactly. Yeah, like you said, yeah, this was the breaking point for Crosby because at this point they felt he felt that they were way better than doing more covers, but they did anyway, and so that was one of his reasons for leaving. But yeah, and then there's a possibly Gene Clark's providing backing vocals because this was recorded during the time where he would be in the band. Of course, I've heard conflicting arguments. Some saying he was there, some people say he didn't. I don't know which is true, but I like to think he was there though. But yeah, I mean, this one's a standard. This song's been covered a ton. It's one of Carole King's and Jerry Goffin's most well-known songs they ever written. You still hear many people cover it, and I think at the end of the line, it's still a really good song, and I think they do a really good cover on it. It's one of those songs that's really really hard. If you have to try really hard to make it sound terrible, but they do a great job on this cover. I think this is a good highlight for me. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say, but yeah, I like this one.
I love this track. I love the part where it's like don't want a magic carpet rides.
Yeah.
The vocals are beautiful.
Hmm.
It's just a fantastic song, and I forgot the name of the song. It's on the CD thing. It's called Triad or whatever.
Yeah,
It,
that was the song David wanted on the album.
and it would have been perfect on the album, but going back, oh my
Hmm.
god, what an amazing song! And that goes into the psychedelic madness of not
Yeah.
madness, but the psychedelic song Natural Harmony. And oh my god, it's so cool the way it just flows into it, and
Hmm.
I quite like it. It's a really great song and really cool trippy song. What do you think about it though?
Yeah, like you said, this is where the psychedelic kicks in. This is really, I really do enjoy the song. It's really cool. Really cool drumming pattern on this song. And again, the bass work on here, because this was written by Chris Hillman. So, I, I think as the series has progressed, I really have a huge, bigger appreciation for Chris Hillman as a bass player, because he's not really, when you talk about bass players, he doesn't really come up that often, like really at all. But going through these albums, like he's done some great space work. Like it's very melodic. Just you can definitely very catchy. But yeah, very cool. Goes with the song well. I love this one. They used the Moog synthesizer on it, and that was kind of a nice touch. I enjoy this one. This one didn't quite make the top five for me, but this is definitely a really good song. So yeah, this is a good one as well.
Yeah, it was really good, and that goes great into Draft Morning. Uh, I love what makes this album so unique is that each song goes into each other, and I think this is the first album. I don't think any other album was doing this at the time. I mean, the Sergeant Peppers did it once. Well, they did it twice with Sergeant Peppers and goes
Yeah,
into
and
well, for,
then of course with Abbey Road, they would do it the year after in
but
'69 after
but
this
this is the
album.
very first album where they do it with every song though, and people always Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here. They were doing it. I'm like, yeah, but Notorious Byrd Brothers were the very first band I think
Yeah, maybe
that ever did it.
maybe the Moody Blues. I think I can't remember if that album every
I
song
mean,
flowed to that one.
I'm not sure, but it was either well, they were. It's either they're one of, if not the very first bands to ever do it. And
Hmm.
the transition from Natural Harmony to Draft Morning is brilliant. And this is one of those albums where I can't listen to it shuffled. I have to listen to it from song one to the very last song. And
Hmm.
Natural Morning's a really great song, and yeah, it's a really good song. What do you think about it, though?
Yeah. This was, of course, there's a funny story with this one. This was Crosby who mainly wrote this one, but by the time they recorded it, he had already left. So Hillman and McGuinn basically kind of stole it from him and just kind of wrote their own unique spin to it. And so they gave themselves the writing credit, which Crosby has resented. But regardless, yeah, this is another really good song. Again, the melodic bass playing on here is fantastic. I love the sound of the guitar here. And it's just this really soothing song that where nothing, it's not in your face, but you just hear it and you're just kind of like, you're just chilling. It's just, you're just chilling through. It's just, this is nice. I like this ride I'm on right now. So yeah, this is a great one too.
Would you consider this to be a Crosby album? Because I consider it to be a Crosby album.
Yeah, I think he's on here enough where it would kind of count. Although we probably should mention the album cover.
Yep, we
Yeah,
will at towards the end. But
yeah,
uh, the second last track on side one, again, what a great transition from Draft Morning to wasn't born to follow, and another Carole King written track, and it's an amazing track,
yeah,
and these last two songs on side one, you could hear the eventual path they will leave, which will end up being this album, the Sweethearts of the Rodeo. I don't know if you listened to that album yet,
not yet.
but if if you liked born to follow and gets you, you're gonna like this album because this album's a lot of the all the albums
Yeah,
basically just like those two songs, but yeah, I love Wasn't Born to Follow. It's a great Carole King song, and it's great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You pretty much summed it up. I was about to sneeze there, but I stopped it. Anyhow, but yeah, it's a great. This is a good. This is one Carole King song I hadn't heard. I don't know the original of it. I haven't heard the original of it, but based on what the Byrds did, this is a great one. Of course, this is kind of going back to that country sound. I've said before I'm not the hugest country fan, but here this is the type of country I would be listening to. It just sounds really good. And fun fact, this was actually used in the movie Easy Rider with Peter Fonda. So I can't remember what scene exactly it was in, but it was in there. It was in there. So yeah, big highlight for me.
Like I said, if that's a big highlight and you really like that song, and like I said, that goes great into Get to You, and that's an amazing
Yeah.
song, and I love that song. It's one of my favorites. I don't want to tell you where it's on my list, but
Yeah.
if you like those two songs, well, no, if you like those two songs, you might really like this album because
All right.
it's a country album, but it's like that. It's like those two songs. It's like it's that style of country that you
Mm-hmm.
like.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
what do you
I'm
think about it?
definitely looking forward to it. Looking forward to that one
Yeah,
next.
and once we finish reviewing that album, we're gonna do a little mini album ranking, and I'm curious as to what your ranking's gonna be.
Yeah. Even I'm curious because yeah, I have to look back because I feel like I think before we started doing this, think I had an initial idea what my ranking would be, but I feel like it's completely different now ever since going through all these albums. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that little mini ranking to see where everything falls into place.
Yep.
But going to Get to You, which is, you said the last song on side one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This is another song I really really loved. Written by Hillman and McGuinn, maybe Gene Clark as well. Again, conflicting uh, reports on that. But this is just a song about taking a trip to England, and it's just this very beautiful song. I love the string arrangements on this one. It's just this really subtle, really, I don't know, it just fits in the sound that they're going for, the feeling that they want. But yeah, it just comes together. This is another one of my favorites on this album. So yeah, I love this one.
Yeah. I said this. I already said this like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
But if you like Wasn't Born to Follow and Gets You, you might surprise yourself. This might, who knows? Maybe this might be your favorite Birds album.
maybe we'll see.
You might really like it because it a lot of most of the majority of songs are just like those two songs. It's like has that like really nice easy country sound to it, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Well, pardon me. Before we get into side two, read the comments. Crosby not getting along with band members. You're kidding.
No, right?
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, no way, man.
That's not possible.
Yeah, Crosby's like the nicest guy ever.
He's the best band member to work with.
Yeah,
He doesn't say anything that might be controversial,
yeah,
especially with John F. Kennedy before they sing a song about him.
exactly. And he'll totally love your fan art of him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Breyer might surprise himself with this list. Yeah.
yeah,
I might surprise myself with my list. I already mentioned what my two favorite albums of theirs might be, and I guess I'll mention it. Like it's a toss up between these two albums of being my favorite. Like they clash with each other a lot. But I'm not gonna tell you what the other four like my where I might rank my other four, but I don't know. I'll once we rank the Sweethearts of the Rodeo, I'll really get a definitive list, but who knows? But side two opens up great with Changes Now. I'd say this is the psychedelic side of this
yeah,
album, the more psychedelic songs on this album. Changes Now, really good. What do you think about it?
yeah. This is also pretty good. Like this one, again, another Hillman and McGuinn collaboration. Um, Again, like you said, definitely has that psychedelic sound to it. Um, and even a little bit of country. I feel like the chorus has a tad of country in there as well. But it's kind of a bit of a spiritual type of song, which kind of makes sense with the psychedelic theme. Um, Other than that, is another solid song, very good. I think pretty solid way to start this side.
Yeah, and that song goes great into Old John Robertson, which is a really great song. And I quite like it. It's probably one of my least favorite songs on the album, but it's still really good.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see it. Again, another Hillman McGuinn. Uh, I actually learned a bit of Chris Hillman while researching this because found out Chris Hillman actually grew up in San Diego, so representing my neck of the woods.
Yep.
So yeah, basically this song's about Hillman. This is kind of based on an actual person he knew when he was young. It was actually based on a retired film director that he knew, and this director was kind of had a reputation of being a little eccentric, I guess. They didn't really give specifics on why, but he was kind of eccentric, so was kind of well known in the town he was in. But this one's pretty cool. This again, going back to that country sound which Hillman loves. But you also hear a little bit of some broke pop influence here as well. It's not really a broke pop album, but you definitely hear sprinkles of it throughout. I'd say the only not really negative. It's not the worst thing, but I guess the only point I'd take away is that there's like some weird sound effects at certain points, which I guess is supposed to symbolize that John Roberts was a weird dude, so maybe have those weird sounds in to emphasize that. But I kind of would have done it without it. But I kind of like But other than that, I think it's still a pretty solid song. Didn't quite hit the top 5, but it was kind of more middle of the road.
I mean, for a song like this to be one of my least favorites, that's how great the album is. Like, if this was like one of the stronger songs on the albums, that means it's a very weak album. So that goes really well into Tribal Gatherings, which I quite like it. This is a David Crosby song, and I really like it. I don't know about you, but I quite liked it.
No, yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it was pretty good. Again, Crosby and also Hillman was also involved. So this was Crosby kind of got influenced to write this after he attended this like hippie gathering, and I even wrote down the exact name of this hippie gathering. It was called the Gathering of the Tribes, the Human Be-In. So yeah, that sort of thing. And so he's kind of just writing about that whole scene and all that stuff. But there's some great stuff. This definitely has a little bit of a jazz influence. You can hear a little bit of it in there in terms of the arrangement. This one actually has a good heavy guitar sound. Like for the Byrds, like the guitar sound is a bit heavier than normal, which I appreciate because I like heavy music and stuff like that. But yeah, I like this song. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and again, the song goes really well into Dolphin Smile, which I'm gonna guess it's your least favorite song on the album, but it's a really good song. I could definitely see why it's your least favorite. You know why you can see that because it's my least favorite song on the album. But even I'd say this song is a lot better than the Learjet song
Oh yeah, definitely.
on the Fifth Dimension album. Like out of all the weakest songs on each of the albums so far, this is probably the best out of the weakest, I'd say. And yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's not the best, but it's pretty good for the weakest song.
All right. Well, you're actually going to be surprised. This is actually not my least favorite song on the album. It's funny enough, I liked it way more than I thought it was going to be because, with a song called Dolphin Smile, I mean, I had no idea what to expect from it, but I was surprised. It was actually not too bad. So Crosby, Hillman, McGuinn collaborate on this one. I'd say the only thing that I do see where you thought I didn't like it because it does start on a weird note with how it's supposed to sound. It's supposed to be like dolphin sounds, but it's done on guitar. But luckily, it's only in the beginning, and once that's over, then it's kind of going back to a more traditional bird sound. It's not too long. It's simple. It's kind of simple. It's to the point, and it's about having this fascination with the sea, which I like learning about marine biology sometimes. So yeah, I didn't hate it. So yeah, it wasn't my least favorite.
That's good. But we get to a really great song, Space Odyssey. Oh my
Uh-huh.
god. What a amazing, groundbreaking way to end off the album. This was a year before the moon landing in 1969, so I find this to be a very great song, very ahead of its time. I love when they explored space themes. They did it with Fifth Dimension with 5D. They did it with CTA 102, which is one of my favorite songs on that album. They did it with this album with Space Odyssey, and I love those three tracks. But what do you think? As
Yeah,
no,
yeah. This is where we differ. Uh, yeah, this is kind of where this was not one of my favorites, honestly, because I think I'm coming to realize I'm not a fan of their space songs. Uh, and I said it on the last album, like I said on the last one we did, it's like, oh my god, finally we didn't end on a silly song, but now we're kind of back to it. So yeah, it's about space, aliens, and stuff like that. Of course, they got the idea of this song from the actual source material that Stanley Kubrick would base his movie on. So a little, somewhat of connection there to that, which is interesting. It's kind of slow. I think it dragged on for a little bit. I think it was, even though it's not even that long. It's like there's like a little less than 4 minutes, but I think it could have been shortened down a bit more. But yeah, I know you liked it, so which I can understand why. I can definitely see why you liked it, but for me, it didn't. I think it could have ended on a stronger note.
that's fair. That's fair. Uh, one thing I do want to point out is there are a couple of really great, well, in my opinion, there's some really great bonus tracks on the CD.
Yeah,
Moog Raga, that amazing Moog synthesizer instrumental. I mean, that's what to me that's what electronic sound by George Harrison could have been like.
hmm.
Like it could have been as great as that, but instead he went in a really bad direction with it. But and Triad that should have been on the album. I'm so upset that wasn't on the album. Maybe that could have been the closer, but who
Maybe.
knows?
Yeah.
But five favorite songs, a dishonorable song, and your album rating.
All right. Okay. So before we get to that, first let's. I think we should briefly talk about the album cover.
Oh yeah. Thanks for reminding me. The album cover. Notice anything odd about it? A little different in the back cover too. No Crosby.
No
Uh,
Crosby, but you get a horse.
yep, you get a horse, which supposedly, well, apparently they were doing a photo shoot of. They were just doing a regular photo shoot, but then it became the album cover, and people are like, "Oh, that's Crosby. They did that on purpose. They're resentful of him." And they're like, "No, it's just a lucky coincidence." But
Yeah.
a little part of me thinks they were very mad at Crosby, and they were like,
Yeah.
How can we
I mean,
get back
it's
at him?"
very easy to assume that was the case.
Yeah, but it's not too far fetched though.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, top five now. So top 5 for me. So at number 5, I have Wasn't Born to Follow. Number 4, Artificial Energy. Number 3, Going Back. Number 2, Draft Morning. And number 1, Get to You. And then for a dishonorable track, I'm going to go with Space Odyssey for the reasons I spoke previously. And when it comes to a rating, I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot my previous ratings, so I'm just going off what I feel. So whenever I say my rating, please take it for a grain of salt. So for right now, I'm going to give this an 8.5. This was a good one. And like I said, this could possibly be their most cohesive album. And I think the fact that all the songs kind of blend to each other really helps. Really makes it one continuous listening experience. So I think that's a really good choice they did. So yeah, this was a really good album.
Nice. My 5 favorite songs. Number 5, Space Odyssey. Number 4, Wasn't Born to Follow. Number 3, Artificial Energy. Number 2, Get to You. Number 1, Going Back.
Yeah.
And most favorite. It's funny. Most favorite song on the album I actually pick as my favorite.
Yeah.
My dishonorable track will be Dolphin Smile. And as a rating, 10 out of 10. It's a perfect album.
Wow. Okay.
I could listen through this thing front to back and not want to skip a single track. And yeah, it's really good. It's man. This in their last this in this album are just perfect albums. But anything else you'd like to add before we're done?
Overall, yeah, no, like I said before, this was a really good album, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Especially because, you know, even though I'm not a huge country fan, like based on what you're describing, like I feel like I'm definitely going to enjoy that one too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next week, and yeah, I'm very enjoying doing this series.
Yes, it's very nice to have you. Thank you for joining me in this series. This is my first time probably really thanking you, but thank you for joining me in the series. It's
No
great
problem.
to have a second person.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And of course, like I said, stay tuned. We will be reviewing the Sweethearts of the Rodeo next. Very excited for this album because this goes in a complete 360. Not 360. It goes in a 180-degree turn from the last album, and I quite like it. And after that, I'm also excited for the album that come after that because there's this album, Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde. This is the first album that doesn't have any of the original members besides McGuinn. And I said this in the first album review that it's a combination between these two albums. It's a great combination between these two albums. And there's a instrumental on this song called Nashville West, but I think you'll like it. I'm not sure though, but I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion. But stay tuned for that. And right after this video is over, I'm going to be doing George Harrison's Cloud 9, which I'm very excited for. But rather than that, see you guys in